Well, hello everyone. It is a real pleasure to join you here today. My name is Dale McDermott. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of CGLCC. We're Canada's LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce, and I'm delighted to be joining you, albeit virtually, at this Labour Market Forum conference organised by Tourism HR Canada. It is great to be here, and I'm really delighted and excited to be able to present to you on what I think is a really important topic. And hopefully throughout the course of this presentation, we'll be able to share with you some interesting insights on how you can both demonstrate the enormous potential of LGBT travel and present to you some solutions that will hopefully help you in attracting this key cohort of the marketplace. So I mentioned to you that I'm joining you virtually, but I am joining you today from Toronto. And Toronto is, of course, in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon territory is a treaty between the Anishinaabe and Mississaugas and Haudenosaunee that bound them to share their territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. So I just want to talk to you, first of all, about what is our objective here today. So, I really want to share with you what we believe to be the enormous potential of the LGBT plus travel market. It is a sizable market, and it offers a significant amount of potential, especially as organizations and businesses are looking towards recovery. The past year, of course, has seen devastation economically as COVID-19 has run rampant in our society and across the world. Grounding airlines and certainly having a profound effect on how we operate and live our lives. But I want to talk to you about also the potential, because as we look towards recovery, the LGBT plus traveller is certainly a segment of the Canadian economy that is sizable and offers real potential. And I want to present to you on what you can do to attract the LGBT plus traveller. And then also I want to spend some time explaining how some of the programs that we're doing here in CGLCC and how they can help you to attract the labour market and support the recovery with respect to that labour market. Really quickly about CGLCC. So CGLCC we're Canada's LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce. We're a national not-for-profit. Originally we were established in 2003, and CGLCC has been known as the trusted partner in linking LGBT plus businesses in Canada to the wider business community. The organization fosters economic growth by supporting and nurturing LGBT plus businesses, entrepreneurs, students, allies, and by helping the corporate world connect to the LGBT plus business community. We are a leader in supplier diversity, and we're also the certifying body for LGBT plus businesses in Canada. The LGBT plus business community in Canada is quite sizable. For example, just to give you some quick off the top statistics, we know that there are around 435,000 people employed by LGBT plus businesses. They generate around $22 billion in corporate revenue. And as I mentioned, and in the slide that you can see, there are over 28,000 LGBT plus owned businesses across Canada. So it's a sizable part of the Canadian economy, but what's also important to remember is that they also face some unique challenges. So for example, we know that around 1 in 2 are first of all afraid to come out to their clients. 1 in 3 believe that they've lost sales, revenue, and business opportunities because of how they identify. And sadly, we know that 3 in 10 have faced direct discrimination. So CGLCC, as the voice of Canadian LGBT plus businesses, we work to support and foster the next generation of LGBT plus entrepreneurs and guide them through these unique challenges to ensure that they fully participate in the Canadian economy and global economy to their full potential. Now, in terms of what do we do? CGLCC is very much a chamber of commerce, and we have a lot of programming and activities that we work through on an annual basis to ensure that we're delivering for our members. So just to quickly run through some of the programs, I did reference a moment ago supplier diversity. So supplier diversity is, of course, focused on connecting the corporate Canadian world to LGBT plus businesses, and really working to support corporates as they look to diversify their supply chains. Supply diversity is, of course, a topic which is gaining ever more prominence in society, and as we look towards ESG and more sustainable practices in business, supply diversity is one of them. And I mentioned that CGLCC is the certifying body for LGBT plus businesses in Canada. So basically, we work to certify that businesses are over 51% owned, operated, and controlled by LGBT plus individuals. And once you're certified, you basically become what's known as a certified supplier. And we work with certified suppliers to connect them with the corporate world through procurement and other business opportunities that corporate Canada and our corporate members are looking to offer. And then quickly just running through some of the other programs that we operate. We have a youth entrepreneurship mentorship program, which is our Out for Business program. The Out for Business program is focused on really, nurturing and supporting the next generation of entrepreneurs in our country. So through this program, it's a 12-month program where we work with young and fledgling entrepreneurs, and we partner them and match them with more established LGBT plus business owners and leaders in the business field. And through 12 months, they go through a year long of mentoring, of skills development, of networking, to really build on their business plans and business ideas, and to set them up for success, to get that confidence and resilience to allow them to, again, flourish and grow further into the Canadian and potentially global markets. Our global program is something which builds off on supplier diversity. So we work with our certified suppliers to give them access to global markets. So we work in partnership with Global Affairs and the Trade Commissioner Service to ensure that our certified suppliers have access to global markets. And we have proud to say we have a global reach. We have affiliated LGBT plus chambers of commerce all over the world, and we work with them on our trade missions. Our past 2 trade missions have been to the United States, and we're actually very soon in the middle of organizing a virtual trade mission. Certainly our first doing a virtual trade mission given COVID-19, but it's an interesting model, and we're proud to be doing that in Colombia. And then the middle icon there is, of course, advocacy. We view ourselves as the voice of LGBT plus businesses in Canada. They face unique challenges, and it's our job to advocate for them. So we advocate for our members at all levels of government, federal, provincial, and municipally, to ensure that the voice of Canadian LGBT plus businesses is being heard, and as various programs and policies are being developed to support the general business community, we work to ensure that the LGBT plus seat is at the table and their voices are heard. And finally, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today, is our tourism program. So CGLCC, in partnership with Tourism HR Canada and also the Government of Canada, have been working for over the last 2 years now on our tourism program. And our tourism program has effectively been looking at how do we get the Canadian market to become ready to serve and attract and support the LGBT plus travel market. It's been a sizable program. It's been a very impactful program, and we've seen over the last number of months the real impact that it's having, but also, which is what I'm here to talk to you about today, the real potential for this market and how it can really be a key lever and tool as Canada looks to grow back and build back from the COVID-19 crisis. So a question which I think you are probably asking yourselves, well, what is the LGBT plus travel market? What does it look like? What are the key items that travelers are looking for? And what are the key characteristics and concerns that LGBT plus travelers have, and how this can play a big part in recovery, and some of the strategies which I know some of our audience members are looking to have answered. And I might just take this moment as well just to mention that if you do have any questions, please do ask them in the chat. I will be there live, be able to and there to be able to answer any of your questions as this presentation is ongoing. So please, I think it's the bottom right-hand side of your screen. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them there, and I will endeavour to answer them. So, what is the LGBT plus travel market? Well, the answer is it is a huge potential, and there is huge potential in this market. So the LGBT plus travel market in Canada is valued at a whopping $12 billion, which is an increase of around 43% since 2014. So this is a sizable chunk of the Canadian economy, and it's highly valued, and therefore with that, it means it's high potential. TIAG estimates that the Canadian travel is valued at a little over $100 billion, and therefore the LGBT plus travel market represents 10% of the overall tourism industry in Canada. This is particularly important because we estimate that LGBT plus people only represent around 6 to 8% of the overall population in North America. So we're seeing, if you will, a multiplier effect that the LGBT plus traveler can offer. Now we have to ask ourselves, well, why is that? Why is it that a smaller segment of the economy is effectively punching above their weight economically? And the answer tends to be that that LGBT plus travelers tend to have more disposable income. They tend to have less children at home, and oftentimes are highly educated, especially at a university level. So on average, we know that LGBT plus travelers spend around $1,855 per trip. Now, an interesting fact is that this sum is 7 times what the average traveler spends per trip, which is actually around $265. So what you have there is that this represents, a multiplier of around 7 times. And aside from spending more money, LGBT plus travelers tend to also take trips more frequently throughout the year. So they're spending more and they're traveling more. And it's also important to remember as well that, when we speak about resiliency, and this is really why it's really important to, focus on the resiliency of the LGBT plus traveler. We also know that LGBT plus travelers are usually the first to bounce back from a crisis. We know of this from data with respect to 9/11 and SARS. And I think it's fair to say that we expect the same to be after this pandemic. And the chances are when they will, the chances are that they will start by traveling within Canada and maybe even just within their own provinces. So this is a big potential. There's lots of potential here for industry and organizations to capitalize on what is a healthy part of the travel market. And again, to reemphasize the point, the data tells us that this smaller segment of the global population and the Canadian population punches above their weight and overspends economically. And then the next question I think we have to ask ourselves is, well, what do they want? Or what is the key factor that is, in their minds as they look to make travel decisions? And the answer, I think, it won't be that surprising, but the answer is safety. LGBT plus travelers want to be safe whenever they travel. So, it is possible to tap into this profitable and diverse market, but it would take some work. In an LGBT plus travel study conducted by CGLCC, THRC, and Crestview Strategy, it details the priorities of LGBT plus travelers in Canada. And from that study, we know that 89%, sizable amount, listed safety as an important factor to consider. So it's fair to say that safety is one thing that LGBT plus travelers value more than their mainstream counterparts. And they show commitment to destinations and tourism businesses that value their comfort and well-being. Safety, when we talk about safety, it generally refers to feeling welcomed and accepted, and also can refer to the political context of a destination. So, safety in the immediate vicinity in terms of the operation, but also in the more macro sense of the political climate in which the businesses are operating in with respect to the country. So safety is important also to travelers of all types of identities. And we also know that loyalty is an impact here as well. LGBT plus travelers, they tend to be more loyal to businesses that welcome and accept them openly, and are able to put these, any worries that they might have about safety to one side. So being a Canadian destination really always, it already puts you at an advantage, as thankfully, I think it's great to say that this country is considered internationally to have, a very good reputation with respect to, being respectful and being safe and inclusive towards LGBT plus people. And my next point I really wanted to raise is that, before you engage these communities, you need to be prepared to welcome them into a safe space, and doing it authentically as well. So this really means that ensuring that your destination recognizes gender and sexual diversity, and has meaningful practices, authentic practices in place to ensure that LGBT plus travelers have an inclusive and positive experience with you. So, being authentic and being deliberate and intentional with how you welcome LGBT plus travelers is, first of all, important from the offset, but also it's recognized and it's seen for what it is, and it's seen for the genuine nature that it is. So, and then finally, the point I want to make around being inclusive can benefit a business of any size. This can be achieved anywhere. Creating a safe and welcoming space can be achieved anywhere. And that is why there is really ample opportunity for businesses and destinations of all sizes to adapt and to benefit from this. LGBT plus travelers, and the data tells us this, that LGBT plus travelers seek a variety of experience like the general public. And they don't have to be LGBT plus specific, but what they do need to be is LGBT plus friendly. And this means that there is a possibility for any businesses that are willing to work towards LGBT plus inclusivity to benefit from that. So moving on from that quick overview, let's turn to the importance of LGBT plus diversity and inclusion. So there's really two things that I want to focus on here. One is around investing in your staff, and then also how to enforce awareness. So if we're to quickly turn to investing in your staff, there's a few things here which I think we need to cover. So skills development and adaptation to industry shifts is going to be really important. Ensuring that your frontline staff, and really staff at all levels, front and back, are able to adapt to any industry shifts that might occur. And it's also critically important to have staff who are trained in LGBT plus diversity and inclusion will allow for better customer service. So again, referring back to one of the previous slides around being authentic, having staff who are able to interact and engage with LGBT plus travelers and customers is going to be critical, because it's noted. And it's noted because, once you do that, LGBT plus clientele will feel safe, will feel welcome, and will feel accepted. And then, of course, once that happens, staff will improve performance in a safe workplace. And I think this goes for, staff who are LGBT plus, but also those who, you know, don't identify as LGBT plus, but recognize that by engaging in these practices, it becomes a safe workspace for all. And when you engage in investing in your staff and investing in diversity and inclusion practices, it allows for everyone to shine. Because diversity and inclusion isn't just specifically related to LGBT, although it's a key part of it. It allows for, you know, if you focus on one form of diversity, it can open a door, and it can allow for others in your organization to feel safe, feel respected, know that you're treating this issue with the seriousness that it deserves, and you're giving it the resources that it desperately needs to ensure that you're engaging in this in an authentic and proper way. And the second thing to mention is around enforcing awareness. You need to constantly be aware of diversity and inclusion to have your businesses as a safe space. So what do we mean by that? You know, it's having it be known that your business is a safe space will improve your reputation, and that's going to improve your reputation with your customers, with your staff. But it's really it's an always-on approach, and it's something you have to constantly be looking at to ensure that you're meeting the industry standard, that you're engaging with the best and latest practices, and that you're reaching out to communities and you're partnering to ensure that you're being your best and that you're able to serve the needs of your diverse customers. Because end of the day, your customers are going to be diverse. You know, they're going to be different races, they're going to be different genders, different sexual identities as well. And if you're not willing, or if you're not able to attract and support these customers in a deliberate way and a correct way, well, then you're not going to be reaching your potential either. So there is a business case for this, and it makes sense. I do want to turn, of course, to a case study now. And the case study is with respect to Hilton Hotels and Resorts. Hilton Hotels and Resorts, of course, is one of the world's largest multinational hotel companies. And Hilton's CHRO, Matthew W. Schuler, says, as a business of people serving people, diversity and inclusion has been embedded in our culture since our founding more than 100 years ago. We look forward to continuing to champion equality for team members, guests, and owners alike. So, to turn then to how has Hilton invested in its staff and enforced awareness? They've done so through a variety of means. We've seen, media coverage on Hilton's LGBT plus initiatives and support. So, not only doing the work, but ensuring that the work is seen and heard by others. And this can have a compounding effect. One, it can, it serves to highlight the good work that Hilton have been doing. But two, it can also work to encourage competitors or other organizations that a company like Hilton would work with to engage in these sort of activities and to engage in supporting these initiatives and other support mechanisms. They've also created internal employee surveys in reference to gender and sexual diversity. So, really working and tapping into the knowledge base that that company has. I mean, they really are part of it. Their people is one of their greatest assets, and I think that's the same for any service-based industry. And with that means that you have a significant knowledge asset, which allows you to tap into and to really get the pulse on what are we doing here with respect to diversity? Are we is the sentiment that we're doing enough, or are there things on the ground which perhaps employees are hearing that would mean that your organization would need to move a bit stronger? And then also tracking of Hilton teams' volunteer hours, and by doing that, targeting work towards LGBT plus communities and the quality of work that they are able to do to assist with those organizations. So, diversity and inclusion is an authentic expression of their company culture. and it's a core value that is promoted in all of their activities. And by engaging in the work of LGBT plus communities and sharing, their specialized expertise with various organizations, they support missions both financially and through empowering knowledge. I think it's fair to say Hilton invests in the LGBT plus community by reflecting its values on their marketing, as well as engaging in supplier diversity. So, I mentioned supplier diversity at the start of this presentation. Buying goods and services from LGBT plus owned and operated businesses allows them to lift up broader society and lift up others, especially as they are getting started in their businesses and in the economy. So I think that was an important case study to mention around how such a sizable organization in the travel industry, such as Hilton, have been able to demonstrate that they're a leader in this space and that they're working to support their people. I want to turn now to developing an LGBT plus tourism strategy. So, just want to cover here really 4 things that I think organizations can do as they look to develop an LGBT plus tourism strategy, because there are some simple things which I think organizations can do to allow them to tackle this this opportunity head on, and do so in a correct and proper way. So the first thing I would say is around, you really want to find someone who can champion your efforts. This means, this could be someone who is, from the community or who's an expert on the subject, who can take the lead with strategic planning and marketing efforts. Once again, to emphasize, authenticity here is going to be important. And one of the ways you can be authentic is with subject matter experts and those who have, either a lived experience or close experience to what is a bit of a unique market. And by doing so, and by finding someone who can champion your efforts, that can really add to you developing a successful tourism strategy. Forming partnerships is another item which I think can be a really big benefit to organizations as they look to develop this strategy. So, if you form partnerships with other LGBT plus organizations and businesses, this is only going to widen the pool of those who are aware of your efforts and create more opportunities to receive feedback. Feedback, of course, is critical. It's critical in any business operation. Being able to take feedback and pivot and refine your product and your position is important as we go through a constant evolution, and indeed an economic evolution as we move forward through this ever increasing diverse and hopefully inclusive world. So listening to feedback and collaborating with other businesses and organizations will really demonstrate your commitment to supporting the community, similar to what Hilton Hotels have done by being involved with the LGBT plus community directly, will further serve to support your efforts. The third is around offering diversity and inclusion training. This is absolutely so critical. I really can't emphasize this enough. Your staff are your front line. They are the people who interact with your customers on a daily basis. They are your eyes, they are your ears. They see what is happening. And they are your ambassadors. They are your brand ambassadors. They represent your organization, the values you stand for, and that's why it's really important that being able to ensure that your staff are fully trained and up to date on the latest and greatest practices is going to be important. So being able to offer regular and frequent diversity and inclusion training to your staff, so they're always up to date with the latest terminology and best practices, is absolutely critical. This is also a way for you to bring awareness to issues being faced by LGBT plus communities and really show people what your value is as a business or destination are. And it really also ensures that your staff demonstrates what they learn through the training. So it gives an opportunity for your staff to be their best and to fully immerse themselves in the various training opportunities that exist. The final point is something which I think I've said several times now in this presentation, but it's again about being authentic. Be authentic in your promotional material. What do I mean by that? It means highlighting LGBT plus people and their experiences in your marketing campaigns, on your website or through your social media. Especially when it comes to marketing, if your marketing isn't reflecting your customer, and I mentioned a few moments ago in reference to a previous slide around, your customer base is going to be diverse. The people you serve are diverse. So if your marketing materials don't reflect the diversity of your customer base or the customers you are looking to attract, it's not going to work and it's not reaching its potential. So, showing your support could mean, for example, as little as a rainbow flag to your website. But the important thing here is that the public and the LGBT plus community is aware of your inclusiveness. And I'll speak for this with respect to a program that we're organizing in the future that I think can actually really speak to this. I want to quickly as well just turn to another comment here, which is, how your efforts could support industry recovery. So, expanding networks could lead to more business opportunities, new ideas, and sharing of tourism. And I would also encourage other businesses to think more about diversity and inclusion. It could help, this helps other markets. It creates new opportunities for partnerships and increased visibility. So your efforts and the activities that you do can help this industry to recover as a whole. I want to turn to a second case study now, which is, focus on Kingfisher Oceanside Resort and Spa in Vancouver Island in British Columbia. So the Kingfisher Oceanside Resort and Spa it's nestled in a coastal forest on the eastern shore of Vancouver Island, around 8 kilometers south of Courtenay. And I think the first thing to say is that it offers, breathtaking ocean and mountain views, relaxing sea spa, yoga studio, and contemporary West Coast cuisine. Initially, Kingfisher targeted the LGBT plus market through Facebook advertising, targeted Facebook advertising, magazine ads, and also sponsorship opportunities, committed to developing a long-term relationship with the LGBT plus market. Then later, they sought advice from LGBT plus tourism expert Dean Nelson. Dean Nelson, of course, is heavily involved in the tourism program that CGLCC has been offering, which led them to take an inclusion training workshop. The leadership team and owner now possess what is a great foundation of knowledge and insight on how to respectfully approach the LGBT plus community. So, what I really want to emphasize here is how, understanding your target market needs is proven critical to welcoming LGBT plus guests more effectively. Investing in inclusion training has paid dividends in helping shape a more inclusive and safe work environment for Kingfisher's team, in addition to ensuring the LGBT plus community feels welcome. So it works for your team and it works for your customer. Kingfisher was also a frontrunner in leading diversity training for the region by inviting some of their key partners to participate and learn more about the LGBT plus community and how to be ready to welcome them. So, backing, and then of course, backing LGBT plus initiatives like Vancouver Island Pride as a marketing partner, the Vancouver Queer Film Festival and its Out in Schools programs, Vancouver Frontrunners Pride and Walk, Whistler Pride and Ski Festival, etc. Lots of local organizations has allowed for positive results from LGBT plus devoted marketing spends including Facebook advertising, ads in the Georgia Strait annual Pride issue, ads in festivals and sponsorship and influencers. So because of the training on authenticity in their marketing, holding a photo shoot to produce images that would resonate with the LGBT plus community, they've been able to capitalize on their real and vested interest in the LGBT plus market. So I think this example speaks to authenticity in marketing and how that form of inclusion can really pay dividends in the work that they're doing. And now I want to turn to some of the work that we are doing. So there are really 4 key items that CGLCC has been working on. We are, and I mentioned this a moment ago around a safe space and having an icon or a symbol to speak about that. So we're actually launching a safe space accreditation program, which is called Rainbow Registered, which I'm actually, it hasn't launched yet, and today I'm happy to give you a quick sneak preview of what it looks like. And we've also been organizing diversity and inclusion trainings for the tourism industry. So it's for the tourism industry, but it really is recommended for anyone who is consumer facing, because this issue spans beyond tourism, of course, and really to any customer facing industry. We have LGBT plus travel market seminars, which we've been working on, and then also our destination audit program, which is looking at how to access the LGBT plus travel market. How to assess your LGBT plus travel market readiness as a whole. So just to turn to the first item, which is around our accreditation program. So the LGBT plus Safe Space Accreditation Program is now called Rainbow Registered, and that is the logo that we have developed, which I think is quite beautiful. And this is really helping businesses, organizations, and communities certify their status as being LGBT plus friendly. So what it is we would assess whether or not a business is, and this is for businesses micro, so small, medium, large, any size business or organization or community, that they are LGBT plus friendly. We work to assess that through a variety of audit processes, and again, it's open to everyone, depending on the size of your organization, but it is accessible to everyone. So I would encourage everyone, no matter the size of your organization, that it is open to you. And it allows businesses and organizations to demonstrate and market themselves as a safe destination for LGBT plus travelers. So there's more on that to come. Rainbow Registered is the name, but it is an exciting program, and I think it's going to make a world of difference to allow for businesses that are doing such great work to ensure that their practices and their procedures and their policies are accessible and open and supportive of the LGBT plus community. And now there is a program that will allow you to advertise that and sell that story. The second item is our D&I Workshops. So the Navigating LGBT plus Diversity and Inclusion in the Tourism Workshop is facilitated by CGLCC and it was funded by the Government of Canada. And of course, it's important to say that all of these tools and resources have been worked with THRC and the Government of Canada. But this really teaches the basics of an inclusive vocabulary with respect to LGBT plus, but also spaces on the workplace. Included in this workshop is a self-paced online course to first get you up to speed on the many different LGBT plus communities. Once you attend the workshop, you can leave with a certificate acknowledging your participation and action items to transform your workplace into an LGBT plus safe space. So it provides an overview of the LGBT plus travel market in Canada. It teaches LGBT plus terminology and acronyms. And you also learn how to be an ally through a number of examples. We also have an LGBT plus travel market ready seminar, where this shares exclusive LGBT plus travel market info and a case study best practices from around the world, and exposes you to a number of custom LGBT plus products to help inspire your own successful LGBT plus tourism welcoming strategy. And with that is also exclusive information about the LGBT plus travel market based on a study which we conducted early last year, and also a tourism development toolkit. And also our destination audit program. So this is designed to assess your strengths and areas for improvement in your overall LGBT plus travel market readiness and tourism strategies. So we are currently building relationships with around over 13 destinations across the country. And a key part of this is having community and destination stakeholders engaged to evaluate past, present, and future efforts to cater to the LGBT plus travel market. So you may uncover some opportunities as simple as reimagining a product or experience already available at your destination, and find that by developing some new partnerships or making some small adjustments, it is LGBT plus travel market ready. So this program includes an audit of current or planned LGBT plus products or businesses, critical marketing and market information knowledges and skill sets such as HR and inclusion training, LGBT plus targeted services and programs, existing or prospective community networks and partnerships and events. And also resources include workshops, resource guides working with a destination to improve community engagement and hosting inclusive events. The final recommendation report from the audit may serve as a benchmarking tool to continue to assess and elevate your LGBT plus travel market strategy each year. So it is a sizable and detailed audit, but again, allows you to uncover key strategies and information which are going to be critical to you as you look to target your products and your services to the LGBT plus market. So that's a quick overview of the 4 key pillars of the work we're doing here at CGLCC, and I think a lot of them are really applicable to this as we look to have to activate our labour market to pivot our LGBT plus initiatives to ensure that they are indeed ready for the LGBT plus market, for the labour market. And I think just to close out this presentation, there are a few things I want to add here and leave you on, which is around recovery. And as we look towards recovery, there are 2 things which we need to focus on, which is 1, adaptation. So being prepared to capture all sorts of markets, being open to welcoming new travelers means developing the safety of your business as a destination. And that will require organizations and communities to pivot and reform and reflect the products and the services, the practices, the policies that you engage in to ensure that they are indeed market ready for the LGBT plus individual. And also visibility. Stand out through your inclusive edge. Improve your reputation while influencing others to do the same. Be a role model, and by being a role model, by being seen and being heard, you can not only capture and allow for the LGBT plus traveler to be attracted to the work that you do, you can also be a change maker, and you can inspire other organizations and communities to do the same. So that really concludes my presentation. For those of you who want more information on our tourism program and learn more about the work that we do here at CGLCC, Canada's LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce, I have on screen a number of ways which you can contact us. CGLCC.ca is, of course, our website. Feel free to log on there where you can see a lot more information on our news, events, and programs, and specifically the tourism program. And if you have any requests or questions, I would encourage you to get in touch with us and in touch with our tourism program. Our email is tourism@cglcc.ca. And for more information on Tourism Canada, Tourism HR Canada, please visit tourismhr.ca. It has been an absolute pleasure being able to speak to you here today and being able to, I hope, share some light on an area of the economy which I think has so much potential, and I think I hope you found it of interest. Again, my name is Dale McDermott. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of CGLCC, Canada's LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce. My contact details are there as well. If you do wish to contact me directly with any questions, please do so. I'd be happy to answer them. A reminder as well that I will be live with you in the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to continue to post them, and I will do my best to answer them as best as I can until the session is over. And a reminder that a survey will be posted into the chat, so please make sure you participate. Thank you all so very much for joining, and I wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you.